All right, so we're going to talk today about integrating digital literacy into the adult education classroom. And again, I'm the Integrated Education and Training Coordinator here at the Peninsula Regional Education Program. We serve the Hampton Roads region of Virginia. Okay. All right, so today I'm just going to tell you a little bit about who I am. We're going to talk about what is digital literacy and why it should be a part of your curriculum, how you can implement it as part of your existing course, and then, of course, what resources can help with this process and where you can find these resources. All right, so just a little bit about me, so you know my background. I got my bachelor's in secondary education in English from the University of Arizona, which is where I call home. And then I went on and got my master's in leadership from Grand Canyon University. I spent a lot of time as a high school English teacher when I lived in Arizona. And then I moved to Germany and became an education advisor for the US Air Force in Ramstein, Germany. And then when I got to Virginia, I transitioned into the world of adult education, first as an instructor, mainly in workforce education. And then about a little over a year ago, I transitioned into my current role as the Integrated Education and Training Coordinator for PrEP. So the first thing I thought we would talk about today is something that you're all very familiar with, which is digital literacy. But what really is digital literacy? I thought it would be a good reminder for us as to, what does that mean in our classroom? The American Library Association's Digital Literacy Task Force, who knew they had one, defines digital literacy as the ability to use information and communication technologies to find, evaluate, create, and communicate information, requiring both cognitive and technical skills. So it's more than just, how to use PowerPoint or how to create an Excel spreadsheet. There's lots of layers to digital literacy. All right, so when we're talking about digital literacy, we want to think about what skills we're looking at. So everything from basic computer skills in the adult education classroom, we have students anywhere from 18 years old all the way on up. I've had students in their 70s in my classrooms, as well as students who just graduated from high school. So the range of abilities is quite vast. So we might be looking at simple basic computer skills, how to turn on a computer, how to save a file, how to access that file after we've saved it, things of that sort, to basic internet skills, things like using email, the different operating systems, Windows and Mac, of course, software skills. So Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint are, of course, our big ones, but also Google Docs. Many of our students that we teach don't necessarily have Microsoft Office installed on their computers. They may not have access to that. So Google Docs has become a big resource for them as well. So we teach that. Information literacy. So when they're looking up information, how do they know if it's a good site, right? How do they know if it's credible? And then social media, digital footprint, and career search skills being a big one as well. All right, so why should we include digital literacy as part of our classroom curriculum? We all know that it's important, but why are we doing that? I put on here, the short answer is we either want to, right? We understand its importance. We have to. It might be a federal or a state mandate for us to do so. Or, of course, it might be the main focus of your course. You might be teaching a digital literacy specific course. The long answer, and I liked this one because it reminds us as to why we're doing this. The Adult Learning Resource Center, ALARC, says that all students need to have a strong digital literacy in order to be able to transition into post-secondary education, job training, or careers. And I think that's really what we're looking at, right? Is how are we helping our students to succeed beyond our classroom? So when they leave us, what skills do they need to be successful either in their post-secondary education or in the workforce? Okay, you can go on. So what I did here is just to talk a little bit about how we might do this in our own classroom and some of the things that we've implemented into our workforce programs, our GED, our ABE programs, is really just building the digital literacy into the existing curriculum. I was just leading a group on this before this particular talk, talking about the importance of doing this in our classroom, and that we're not expecting our instructors to come up with a brand new curriculum, right? You're not going to get the buy-in from your teachers on that because it's more work. And we're not going to get the buy-in from the students on that necessarily because they're in our classroom for a specific reason, right? So in our GED classrooms, they're wanting to get their GED. So we want to, anytime that we can, build it into the curriculum so it's sort of a seamless part of the course. So to do this, you really want to examine your existing lessons and then just see how the digital literacy component can be added to support or improve that desired objective. So I put an example here to kind of contextualize that. So for example, in our GED classroom, the objective of the lesson for the day might be to read and interpret a map. If that's your objective, most likely your students are working on an online platform. Maybe they're on GED Academy, something like that. We want to take it beyond that. So we want to take that instruction and sort of scaffold it. So in this situation, to implement the digital literacy, you could have your students make a PowerPoint presentation where they have to include and explain the components of a map. So that way they're able to work on their education skill, right? That ABE or GED skill, but they're also able to work on digital literacy skills. So in this particular lesson, they could learn how to create a title slide. They could insert a picture of a map. They might insert text boxes so that they can label those map components. They could create a bulleted list to define their vocabulary terms, and they could apply transitions to each of the slides. This would allow your student to interact with the information in a little bit different way. And we know as educators that the more ways that our students are able to interact with that information, the more likely they are to retain it. But also, especially when I'm thinking about a GED student who maybe has not been in the classroom for quite some time, they may not have developed the skills that our current high school students are developing. Things like making a PowerPoint presentation. So when we think about them going on, what sorts of skills are they going to be expected to know in that college classroom that isn't necessarily part of our GED curriculum? So not enough to just pass that GED exam, but we want them to be successful as they go on. So in this case, building a PowerPoint presentation, very much applicable to going on to their post-secondary education. Okay, if you want to advance the slide, thanks. This is another project. I just wanted to give you guys just a couple of examples in case you wanted to think about doing this in your own classrooms or helping your instructors to do this into their classrooms. We have created, as part of our workforce education classes, entire project that's runs throughout that course that is really designed to help them apply all of those digital literacy skills. So for us in the workforce education class, we've created a career research project that the students work on. It requires the students to research a career, and then they create a PowerPoint presentation to present about that career. Steps along the way are where they're really able to practice those skills. So of course, they're going to need to research. So that helps them with their information literacy as far as finding those credible sites. So that is something that you can teach along the way. Creating a Word document or an Excel spreadsheet. Then they can compose emails. They can make their resumes, write their cover letters. We even do creating a LinkedIn profile so that they can be marketable once they finish their program and hopefully get their job, right? Because with our workforce education, we're always thinking of that next step. And our next step, of course, is for them to get that job that they're looking for. Okay, you can advance. Okay. I'm not going to read through all of this because I don't want to bore you, but I'm sure you guys will get access to these slides. And so this is just an example project, just one of the small projects of within that bigger career project. And this would be practice making an Excel spreadsheet. So we sort of break it down step by step so that they know what to do and they get practice with all of these skills. These skills are also what will help them to pass a digital literacy exam later on so that they can earn their certificates as well. So this one's for Excel. So in this project, we have them locate 3 job notices, and then they create an Excel spreadsheet to do a comparison between the jobs. And so they get practice on labeling the columns. They get practice with filling in the headers, just all of those sorts of things that they might be expected to know how to do. Simple Excel spreadsheets are quite common in probably any job that they might go on to. All right, you can go on. All right, so let's talk about resources, right? Which I think is kind of the main reason that we're here. We're looking for ways to find information and use this in our classroom. A great resource that's available is Essential Ed. So if you haven't used Essential Ed before, I definitely recommend checking it out, essentialed.com. There's a site on there for educators or for students. So you can either click on your screen, I'm a student, or you can go to educators, or you can just type it in all together. You'll notice the big yellow button in the middle of the page, resources. That's what we're going to be looking at. We can go to the next slide. All right. So for resources, the one that I'm going to be highlighting for today is the Digital Literacy Implementation Guide. So if you click on resources, you can access a whole variety of resources that Essential Ed has on there, but the Digital Literacy Implementation Guide is phenomenal. You can download that for free. It's quite lengthy and it has so much good information. What they've done with their digital literacy is they've created 3 different models. So essentially, when I was saying before, why do we put digital literacy in our classroom, right? The first thing I said is maybe we want to, right? So that would be their model 1, the educator wanting to integrate basic digital literacy into the classroom. Model 2 would be the second thing that I talked about, which is we have to, right? So that's the educator that has a mandate, right, from a local, state, or federal entity. Oftentimes, this is part of our grant. And so we have to meet this. So that's model 2. Or model 3 is the educator who teaches a specific standalone digital literacy class. So you can pick from those 3 models. They have in there amazing pacing guides, tell you exactly how many minutes you might want to incorporate of the lesson into your class that day. Very detailed lesson plans. I'll show you a slide in a minute to just show you an example of that. Lesson plan templates that are just beautifully designed, and worksheets. All of these things can help you along the way. If we can go to the next slide, I'll show you some examples. So this is an example of one of the lesson plans. And again, this is available in the Digital Literacy Implementation Guide. So this is starting with computer fundamentals. So it has the objectives written out there for you, any preparation that might be needed. We can go on to the next slide. talks about the different vocabulary that might be encountered. So again, this is computer fundamentals, so we're keeping it really simple, starting with mouse, keyboard, those sorts of things. And go on to the next slide. Thank you. Again, just a continuation. Can go on. All right, and then this is the lesson. So as you can see, it's a very detailed activity. So it tells you exactly what it is that you might want to do in the classroom. So again, if you're looking for something that's sort of already done for you and you don't have to come up with it, this is a great tool for you. Can go on to the next one. If you use their paid version and you get their computer essentials course, then wherever it says CE on the screen, that actually is their computer essentials content. And it tells you step by step exactly what to do. And so these are great for independent lessons with the students to do on their own. And they can work through going over the skills that you've just gone over with them in class. Okay, so that's Essential Ed. Again, awesome resource, and we'll have links to those after I'm done. And I know I don't have a whole lot of time left, but I did want to tell you about another site, which is North Star. North Star is a great site if you want to have your students practice taking digital literacy assessments. And there are paid versions of this, which are really reasonable, or you can do the free version. The students can get on here and practice as much as they want to. If you go to the next slide, we'll take a look at what they have available. In our workforce classes, especially our healthcare class, we have a healthcare class that is essentially a boot camp for the students, and it leads right into training with our partner at Virginia Peninsula Community College. The students there, whether they're part of our program or if they're a student enrolling into the college on their own, in order to qualify for the healthcare classes as a prerequisite, they have to show that they have passed these different exams. They have to have passed everything in the first column under essential computer skills, and every test in the second column, essential software skills. The technology and daily life, those are also really great certifications as well, but especially those first two, like I said, they're actually prerequisites for our students. So they can click on any of those and they can take that test. They can practice as many times as they want, and then they can take it as a proctored exam if they want to actually earn their certificate. Can go on to the next slide. It shows that if you do have the paid version of North Star, they have very detailed lesson plans available for every single one of those certifications. So if that's something that you're looking for to incorporate into your class, it can be very helpful. You can go on to the next one. Again, this just shows more of that detailed lesson plan, so you can kind of see what it is that you're getting. Okay, you can go on. This is the certificate. So the students really like that. Of course, they get a nice certificate and it will list all of the different certifications that they have earned. These are great for adding to their resumes if they're especially headed into the workforce after their training. Okay. All right, so some additional resources, and we don't have enough time to talk about them all, but they are here. So we have that the North Star Digital Literacy. Another amazing site is the GCF Learn Free site, especially if you have students who maybe need some extra practice. Maybe they're wanting to take all of those North Star certifications and they need extra practice, GCF Learn Free has free short courses that will help them in every single one of those different subjects. So that's great. Of course, EdTech has their digital skills library, which is awesome. It's a free learning resource for adult learners, and it's super extensive. And then just one more I wanted to highlight. I haven't had a lot of time to look at it, but it's pretty awesome. And they have a free curriculum that you can just click on. It's on a Dropbox and they have everything for you. It's Digital Access and Resilience in Texas. So it's called DART, but it's specifically digital literacy for the ELL curriculum. And they have free curriculum on there, and they have lesson plans, and they have resources. So if you have ELL learners, then this might be a great option for them.